So today
Mhm.
we're very thrilled to welcome Jaymin Patel, a transformative self-expression coach and soul mentor for achievers, as well as the visionary founder of the Fully Lived Method. So Jamie's journey has taken him across over 50 countries, consulting for Fortune 500 companies and national governments. Yet his true calling has been helping leaders, those who have reached impressive level of success and find their next edge and live their lives to the fullest. So, with 8 books, a TEDx talk that inspired over 50,000 viewers, an invitation to speak at top institutions like Harvard Business School and the London School of Economics, Jamin has become a guide for those ready to embrace self acceptance, build authentic communities, and take risks aligned with their deepest values. So,
Mhm.
his mission is to help family oriented leaders connect with their emotions and unlock their greatest potential, creating more abundance in health, wealth, and love. So, welcome, Jamin. Thank
Thank-
you. Thank you for being here in Beacons of Light community.
Yes, thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Well, without further ado, I would love to ask you certain questions because everyone's very excited to get to know you.
Okay.
So, my first question is, in your view, how does consciousness, influence professional success?
Oh my gosh, I love this question so much. So, to me, professional success kind of warps over time, I believe. So, I think when we're younger, professional success means, am I achieving? Am I getting to a certain stature? Am I earning certain amounts of money? And that's one layer of professional success. That's usually us in a space of achievement, trying to be in this achievement game of, oh, let me get the next thing. So what I hear from a lot of people who are in that world is they go, okay, well, I achieved the thing. I'm not feeling the satisfaction doesn't last. I got to go find the next thing. I got to find the next thing that I'm drawn to and then grow again. And it's kind of like there's always this gap. And what consciousness has done for me, it has brought me into a place where, again, I'm doing things with awareness. I really have an intentionality and an understanding of what's occurring. And what I
Mm,
realized through that is, yes, the stature, yes, the money, yes, all of those things are fantastic, but they're never really feeling satisfied for me because I'm not able to enjoy my life.
mm,
And the professional success is really nothing unless it's paired with personal success. And the idea there is, it's this great Stoics who say nothing is great unless it is also at peace. And
mm,
so when you're having professional success and there isn't a layer of consciousness, you're not able to attach to a piece because you're always in a game of having to do more and more and more to prove yourself. So once you achieve it, it's like you got to do the next thing. What consciousness has done for me, it has allowed my professional success to come in a way that my personal life feels at peace. And I think
mm.
that's the power that consciousness can really bring light into the different types of success that are available and how, yes, creating the income and having the stature and making the impact is definitely important. It's definitely a driver. But then the consciousness says, and you can also have an amazing, fulfilling relationship, intimacy, parenting, recreational life. All of those things can also be there. And you can also have space to be at peace. That is a role that consciousness plays in professional success.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Jamin, how did you start? How did you start and how were you able to develop it with yourself?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing question because a lot of my time also was spent not in consciousness, right? It was just, I was a management consultant. I, became a very high earner in the United States. I had a condo, a car, parade of homes, like all this sort of stuff. And while externally, what I realized was that while externally my life looked great on paper, and to anyone else who was viewing it, it was at best mediocre to me. And
Hmm.
I would fight this mediocreness with trying to fill it with different things or trying to, you know, go on a trip or find these other moments that would make it more amazing and say, oh, well, at least it leads me to doing those things. And I think one of the biggest moments of transition and shift that happened for me in terms of bringing consciousness more into my life was going to a place where conscious people gathered. Simple as.
Okay.
And that was
Mm.
Burning Man. So Burning Man is one of the foremost festivals out in the deserts of Nevada. You know, 60 to I think almost 80,000 people now. It's grown to go out to the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, and they create a temporary city. And for 10 days, they spend this time in a place where there's no money. That's all about radical self-reliance, radical self-expressionism, you know, just this community that comes together in a gifting economy and experience economy. And there's so much magic there. And there's this layer of being welcomed home for your radical self-expressionism. So you could wear a costume, you could wear nothing, you could cross-dress, you know, you can really do
Wow.
whatever, and it's all welcome, and you can feel safe and received to be able to do that. And for
Mm.
me, what happened when I was in a community of conscious people, and there are conscious festivals and gatherings that happen all around the world. So you don't have to go to Burning Man. That just happened to be my first one. But I
Okay.
think the more that people can put themselves into communities of people where consciousness is present, like beacons of light, you know, what you bring literally is light. And so I found light when I was around other beings who were able to share light. And I said, this feels really amazing. This is bringing me awareness. This is bringing me an anchored experience of what it's like to not be in that default world of go, 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 achieve, achieve, achieve. And
Mm.
that's me down to look at that from outside of it. Not that
Mhm.
it's bad or wrong, but that I was so caught up inside, I couldn't have consciousness of it. And so when I came into another way of community and living and was able to then look at that from a new perspective, that awoke consciousness in me to be aware and conscious of the role that I was in. This is why
Wow.
retreats, plant medicine, you know, all of these things are so amazing because they take you outside the experience you're in and give you a chance to look at it. When you are outside and you have awareness, that is consciousness. So that's how it began for me. So, you know, I ultimately went to this festival and I said, there's no way I'm going back. There's no way I'm not being my full self all the time. And so I am leaving my corporate career, writing a book, writing 7 more books for a total of 8 books, giving a TEDx talk, and traveling around the world, being a speaker and you know, just somebody who inspires people for a living. And then eventually that led into creating a very robust coaching company, now with a team of coaches who support me in taking the fully lived method out into the world and supporting people and being who they're authentically meant to be. Because for so long, I didn't have that conscious awareness
Mm.
myself. And I don't want anyone else to waste their precious time on this planet not being who they're truly meant to be. That is what I stand for.
Wow. Wow. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. So for now, Jamin, for you, what is your perspective of life, really? Like what is life to you now, now that you have a different perspective?
Yeah. Beautiful question. So to me, life is a couple things. Number one, we are all here in this world to inspire and be inspired by others. So ultimately, we are all permission creators. Through our actions and through our inactions, we are creating a ripple effect of permission for others. And so when we're holding back in any way, we're actually creating permission for others to hold back. When we're squashing our emotions, you know, in our family system as a parent, we're creating permission for our children that you know they can squash their emotions. Instead, with consciousness, when we are understanding our role in creating ripples of inspiration through every action or inaction, how can we be more vulnerable and be in our emotion? How can
Mm.
we model that? How can we model our truth? How can we be in expression? You know, there's this thing of like the crazy person dancing, right? And then they create some permission, and the second person comes dancing, and now all of a sudden, like, oh, that's happening. And before you know it, everybody's dancing, right?
Mm.
So now when I go to an event and there's somebody on the dance floor, I'm like, let's go dance because I know that's going to create a ripple of permission for others. And that's what life is about. Life is about being here, knowing we're here to inspire and be inspired by others. And so when you look at it from that perspective of creating permission for what's possible, right? When
Mm.
you look at it from that perspective, the whole game changes. And I
Wow.
really believe that life, you know, once you've achieved enlightenment, many people want to be in detachment or pull away and meditate in the cave. And I think, okay, that's great. But to me, once you understand the meaning of life, it is to understand that we are these beautiful beings who have been given an opportunity to be on this planet that has so much incredible nuance of highs and lows and everything in between, that we are here to be fully lived. We're here to dive in, double down, right?
Mm,
Once you have your spiritual enlightenment, you come back to life and doubly live what you have, because now you know just how precious and unique and special it is in all of its forms, and how can you be with it and welcome the ups and the downs, and how can you increase the ups and increase the downs and be able to be in the full expanse of the spectrum that life has to offer, and how can you be with it all? That is the
yeah.
journey of life.
Right. Wow. Well, that is a beautiful way of expressing, the storytelling of life. And one thing, Jamin, that I noticed with, with people who are in the success, material success, yes, it feels so like empty in the heart. And there's some kind of fear that they might lose it, they might lose it when they kind of let go of their personality or their identity.
Mhm.
What can you share with your story, or what is the question that this person can ask herself or himself to
Yeah,
go to
great.
that space of authenticity?
Love it. So there's a couple ways I can answer this question. Number one is that you might lose your professional material success. Okay, so think about that. That is actual reality. Like, your feelings you're feeling are valid. That might happen. Might, well, probably won't, but might. So what does that bring up for you? What does that say about your identity? What does it say that you feel that you are? Are you only worthy because you have that material success? Or can you find ways of worthiness with or without it, without feeling attached to it?
Mm,
Because in most cases, when you go on this journey, it is very likely and very common that you will make even more money, or you'll make the same amount of money with more ease, right? So every person who ever goes through any of my programs, they end up making more money than before, or they make the exact same money they're making, but with more ease, more presence, more love, more fun, more expression, right? So that's what's available to you. And I think if you have a certain expectation of life and, luxury and, a lifestyle,
mhm,
you're not going to lose that completely, because you'll begin to track when it's diminishing, and you're going to do something about it because you're capable. I think what people forget is that they're capable. It's not like you have to give everything up and go meditate in the mountain. I don't think that's, you know, if you want to do it, you can, but I don't think that's what's necessary. So I think for those people, I think what they can realize is, when they're in their current state and they're always in this achievement cycle and they're focused on this material success and it's not feeling fulfilling, the question that they always will be asking themselves, Christine, is, I'm successful, now what?
mm,
Right? So they're like, now what? Now what do I do? How do I find fulfillment? They're always chasing the next thing that hopefully will bring them fulfillment, but it doesn't. So you can stay on that path. And that is the question that you will ask. And what I can tell you through experience and helping so many people make the transition is, when you're over here, the question that you will begin to ask is, whoa, universe, even this? This too? Whoa, right? That becomes the question, right? God, universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's like, oh my gosh, this too? Whew. Okay. It is significantly more abundant and fulfilling than one can imagine. So the question that I always say for an individual who's in this position to ask themselves is, who do I get to be for miracles to occur in my life?
that's so beautiful.
And if the miracle is fulfillment, if the miracle is a loving relationship, if the miracle is a closer bond to an estranged child, if your miracle is your mom not calling you and telling you what to do with your life every week, if the miracle is financial abundance, whatever that miracle is, who do you get to be for that to occur? And it's probably not going to be what you are right now, because what you are right now is getting you the result that you are right now. And when you can shift your being and your understanding of who you are and how you operate in the world and what life is, that allows you to make those actual changes. So
Yes.
hopefully that serves as inspiration, because there is someone that you can be right now who you're not being, that will allow miracles, or in certain cases, more miracles. If miracles are already occurring, more miracles to occur in life.
Mm-hmm.
And shifting from that scarcity to abundance mindset where there is just so much available, that has power.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. That shift, that mindset, that expansion. And it is a direct experience, you see. Like, I feel the ripeness of the spirit is the one that, calls it to action most of the time.
Yes, absolutely.
And many right now in the world are actually in that transition, you see. Like,
So many.
so many, so many right now needs a permission slip, you see. So we can transition together in harmony and in fun and
Yeah.
in love even. That's why that's why I was so curious about you, Jamin, because you mentioned about, being in this corporate world, professional success and all of that, and somehow shedding all the layers to see your authentic self, right? So I just want to ask you if you have discovered a certain ability or gift just recently, or this past few months, or that you have tapped into that excited you so much that you can share to us, and how you were able to get there.
Yeah. So that's a great question. There's a few things that come to mind right away. So I think two things come to the surface for me. One is this ability to just listen to someone and to tell them what their story is.
Mhm.
Because everyone needs to understand their messaging and their positioning is what's going to get them any opportunity. So the way that you share your story is what opens doors. And I've just developed this gift to be able to hear someone and to understand, oh, this is you. And then so I'll interview someone for like 45 minutes with a life story, ask very weird questions. I don't know where they come from. And then I kind of go quiet. And then when I open my mouth, this stuff kind of channels through, and people have cried. They're like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, I've never heard that about myself that way. That is who I am. That is what I do for the world. That is the thing that's going to help me share my message to the world. It's a really beautiful gift. So that has really opened up for me. And I think what's led me to that is just this ability to be very empathetic to others, and to really just, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for over 12 years. So I understand marketing. I understand offer creation. I understand leads. I understand, how the sales process works. So I've gone through lots of my own resistance and, success around this. And I understand how to articulate something. And so with that empathy of really wanting to hear someone's story, and then the understanding of what the market is really seeking, I can kind of create that positioning story that allows people to really like articulate who they are in the world. And it's such a beautiful feeling. So that's the first one that comes up. And then the second one is just the fully lived method itself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
in my journey, when I left the corporate world, I was gung ho on really understanding who I am and what does that mean, and how do I live like I am at Burning Man every day. And I feel like I do. I really feel like
Yeah.
I do. And it's funny, I haven't had a desire to go to Burning Man, because I'm like, I'm just going to see the same people and do the same things that I do. And yeah, of course, I'll meet new people, but I'm going to, the experiences are very much the same as what I do in my daily life.
Mhm.
And so
Mm.
it's always open to go, but I'm not like, oh, I need to go. And the fully lived method, I was very successful when I left corporate and became an author, speaker, and coach, made millions of dollars in speaking fees and then coaching and, all this sort of stuff. And a majority of all that money that I made was reinvested into my growth. So, I don't know, Christine, if I shared this, but I've invested about $500,000 into receiving coaching from
Oh,
working with
wow.
the best coaches on the planet. Yeah. Going to retreats, working with minimum of two coaches, one-to-one at any given time, doing group programs, attending webinars, master classes, anything I could get my hands on, I was just absorbing. And what I realized was that sometimes even a 5-minute reel on Instagram somehow would give me this one piece that I would go, God, this is the missing piece from all this other stuff. And so the wisdom that we need to live our lives fully exists in the world, but it's hidden in so many different pockets. Whether it's some wise person in Peru who I had a deep conversation with, and then a plant medicine experience, and then a Tony Robbins seminar, and then a, really weird coach that no one's ever heard of that was doing a 2 hour masterclass, and I decided to click on it for some magical reason, to a retreat that I've done that's super high end, to one-on-one work with incredible coaches, like whatever all of these things are, each of them I saw a piece of this. And because I've invested so much of my time, effort, and money and energy in receiving all of this and being curious and being guided as well,
Yes.
when it all came together, I was like, this is the problem. It's not just shadow work. It's not just breath work. It's not just inner child work. It's not just manifestation work. It's not each of those, like, people are just trying individual things, and the real thing that's holding us back is just circling around, being hidden. And so
Mm,
when you put all of those together and you find a system to have them operate together, and I had to fill in a lot of holes that were missing as well, that's ultimately created the fully lived method.
wow.
This gift is amazing because I can ultimately take this journey that I've been on over 10 years and $500,000, 100 plus coaches, if you count all the master classes and stuff that I've attended, and be able to put that into 6 months for someone, that in
Wow.
6 months
Yes.
time, they can completely eradicate. We have a 100% success rate in the program, for people to feel like they're living a whole new life that is fully lived. They're out of the programs and patterns, whether that's numbing, distracting, overachieving, whatever those kind of things are. We've had people who were heartbroken and said they'll never fall in love again. And then in the third month, they open their heart to be in a relationship, and they haven't been single for more than a month since then. We've had people who come in on antidepressant medication and they stop their medication. We've had people addicted to weed, alcohol, video games, stop their addictions and become a more present parent. All sorts of magic happens, but it takes a whole shifting of unprogramming what we were given our whole lives for decades and installing this new program. And when you install this new program of fully lived, it changes everything. So I think that's another gift that only in the last few years has really coalesced and come together in such a powerful way. And it's one of the best gifts that I can give to anyone.
Right. Wow. That's wonderful because I get what you mean when, you somehow created this beautiful system that you yourself had, directly experienced.
And I use it every day.
And
I
you
use
use
it
it
every
every day,
day.
it's
And
integrated.
and, and now it's funny because the coaches that I turn to when I need support, 'cause I still need support. Life is not perfect. Let me just say, all those things will always be there. It's about how we respond to them, how we
Yes.
react to them. And so
Mhm.
then the people who now coach me are the coaches who coach in my program, because they're trained in my methodology and they're the ones who get it and they know where to direct me. So it's rare
Wow.
that I find an external coach that I want to work with, because the very team I've trained in my methodology are the ones who support me the most, because that's the methodology that I have found to work the most, and so that's very cool. It's very
Wow,
cool.
that's very cool. That's
Yeah,
very cool that you're able to create, like a circle of people around you that you can trust and they can trust you. And it's a symbiotic kind of relationship that you have with this community that has been building.
yeah.
Wow,
We're
that's
all
amazing.
walking each other home.
Right. We're all just walking each other to our home space. That's how I really, really feel.
Yeah.
That's why thank you. Thank you so much. So right now you're in Bali, right? In
Yes.
Indonesia. So what's next for you? Like, what are you up to lately, Jamin, that you're excited to share to the world?
Yeah, so we just enrolled a full cohort for our next fully lived cohort. So we open the doors twice a year, November and
Okay.
May. And so we have a full cohort for this year. And then already people signed up for the early bird for the next cohort. So
For
that's
the
very
next,
exciting.
wow, that's
So
great.
that's expanding and creating. We're moving more into a fully lived coach certification for graduates of the program. So that'll be
Mm.
coming in 2025. There's a new book that's brewing inside me, so that'll be coming in 2025.
Wow.
Uh, it's I can feel it just not, it's been brewing for a few years. And I've written 8 already, so I wasn't in any rush to write more, but now I feel like Next year, that'll be coming out. My speaking is continuing to expand, and the networks that I'm connecting to. I just got to share the stage with Marianne Williamson, one of my
Oh,
heroes
wow.
here, Zach Bush, some amazing
Like,
people. And so, yeah, the nature of my speaking and the quality of the communities that I'm impacting are huge. I'm getting invited to speak at so many different communities and come to their retreats and do
yes.
teachings and things like that. Or come into their spaces or do podcasts. So a lot more invitation is happening versus outreach. So that's very, very exciting. I'm still supporting people and using their voice to empower the world. So I'm still doing my speaker training to help people understand how to make money as a speaker,
Mm.
how to get on stage and get paid. So that's another part of my business that's very expansive. And I think personally, but the number one thing that I want to do with my time is spend it with my kids and my wife. Um,
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm.
so lots of travel, spaciousness. I think we did about 5 or 6 different countries with the kids this year. I personally was at about 14 or so countries this year speaking. And so, yeah, so that's just been a very expansive journey, and that's growing for me as well. It's just traveling more with the family, more quality time with my kids, expanding my team to support and leverage, the business as it's growing. We have some land here in Bali that we're developing. So we're very excited to see that come into fruition.
Ooh.
Yeah, so these are all the things I'm coming up.
Wow, that's so exciting. Like, yeah, I would love you to be part of our, retreats one day or events.
Love that. Yeah.
Let's co-create in that space as well. And of
Yes.
course, the fully lived program. There you go. For those people in our community and those people who will see this podcast, this is not an accident. You are just
Yeah.
here to really understand that there's another way of living and being, to
Yeah.
feel the most fulfilled life ever, your dream come true. So yeah, Jamin, this is the last question that I have to ask you. So with everything that you have gone through as a soul or as a being, what is the best advice that you have received so far?
Oh, that I've received?
Yes, and
Oh
that
my
you have
gosh. Oh, I don't know if I
realized.
could rank. I don't know if I could rank the best I've received. Oh my gosh. I mean, I am such a constant seeker of support and advice. It's I just feel like on the daily something beautiful comes in. I'm like, that's too okay, okay, universe. And so, man, there's a lot, and I mean, I stand on the shoulders of giants. I really do. I've received so many great pieces of advice. What I can share is the piece of advice that I give based on everything that I've received. So imagine I've received all this amazing advice, and it's
Okay.
synthesized for me into one key statement that is the foundation of all the work that I do in the world. And I really do think that it can support anyone. And that is very simply 2 words: practice versus pattern. Our
Mm,
entire life, if you look at it, that you're either in practice or you're in pattern. So when you're in pattern, you know that because you're getting the same results that you're doing the same things that and you're unconsciously or even consciously aware that some pattern is running. For every single pattern that you run in your life, you're going to get a predictable result. When you begin to shift into practices that are alternatives to the patterns that you are running, and you build a discernment to identify those patterns and you shift those into practices, this is where miracles begin to occur. This is where the magic is. This is where life is fully lived. This is where everything happens. And so the biggest advice that I've synthesized that I've received is that I need to understand my life through this perspective. And if anyone listening can do the same, you'll begin to see miracles occur in your life. Because as soon as you recognize those patterns and you replace it with a practice, that is consciousness. That is
mm,
consciously choosing what you are creating versus allowing it to be created for you. When you bring that consciousness, to bring it back to our first, question, this
yes.
consciousness, you're consciously creating when you're in practice. If you're just allowing what's created to be there, you're not actually consciously creating. It's being created for you, and you may be consciously reacting or responding to that. It's a big
Mm,
difference. If you want to consciously create your life, You've got to find the practices that allow you to be in the driver's seat. That is what life is all about.
Wow. Yes. Thank you so much, Jaymin. Thank you so much for your time. And yes, so for everyone here who wants to reach out to you, where is the best place for them to go to?
Sure. So, easiest place to start if you want to learn about me is jayminjpatel.com. It's JayminJPatel.com. You can go to /fully lived to learn about fully lived if you're interested. Instagram, I am Jaymin J Patel. So just say hello on Instagram. I'm also the best on Facebook, is where I love connecting with people, and also WhatsApp. I'm not going to get my WhatsApp on the podcast, but if you message me on IG and you say that you're coming from the Beacons of Light community, I'm happy to give you my WhatsApp and then we can chat on there. I'm very open. I have lots of time in my life, lots of spaciousness. I'm always happy to connect with new people. And yeah, I think it's just really, really beautiful what you're doing. And so if there's anything that I can do to support you or your community in bringing more light to the world, I'm here for it.
Oh, thank you so much again, Jaymin. Yes, so with that, yeah, I leave you with all the greatness in the world, keep up and continue, bringing that light to each and every heart that touches you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.